The Renault Twizy. It's a quad-cycle stroke car. Its cost new is about £12,000 and used now about £5,000. This rear-wheel drive Twizy is a very quirky, strange, futuristic looking thing, and it's pretty impractical as it only has two inline seats and a very small load area. Its top speed is about 50 miles per hour, which is probably pretty scary if you're next to a 40-ton truck, and its brake horsepower is about 20. But it's light, so it feels quite nippy in town. It kind of reminds me of this child's toy, and like this toy, the novelty factor may wear off pretty quick. Now some models do have scissor doors, which is a pretty cool feature, but if it rains, get ready to zip on some plastic windows. I found this 2012 model for $5,995 with 13,000 miles, but haggle a bit and you could get it for less. And try not to crash it because this looks pretty scary. Your alternative is a mobility scooter. It's cheaper and the bonus is it can go on the pavement. Anyway, let's move on. The Mitsubishi Imev. It does look a bit like a car. You actually get windows. Now as far as looks goes, it looks like zero effort has been put into designing this car. If you like bubble styling, this car's right up your street, because that's what it looks like, a bubble. A bit like a shrunken Citroen Picasso. Now this Imev has an 80-mile range, does 80 miles per hour and has 63 brake horsepower, which is okay for town driving. It has 4 seats and 4 doors and a small boot. Now the cost new was £24,000, which is a lot of money, but now the lot's cheaper. I found this 2009 Imev for £5,000 and it's done 10,000 miles. I've got nothing else to say on this car, so let's move on. The Nissan Leaf. Now looks wise, it's a definite improvement on the Twizy and the Imev. The Leaf actually looks like a proper car, and it's fairly easy on the eye, pretty decent looking. Now the Leaf was initially released with a 24 kilowatt 120 mile range, and then a few years later upgraded to a 30 kilowatt 155 mile range. Now the real world range is probably much less, and the same applies to all electric cars in this list. The Leaf has 109 brake horsepower and takes 7 to 9 hours to charge at home. Now the Leaf is a very quiet and comfy drive. It's well specced inside and is very spacious in the front and in the rear and has a good sized boot. It's also safe as it has a 5-star safety rating. I found this 2012 Leaf with 30,000 miles for just over £5,000. It is the lower kilowatt version with the shorter range, as are all the Leafs in this price bracket, which is disappointing. And once you add in the 8 or 9 years battery degradation, the range could be as low as some people are reporting as 60 to 70 miles on a full charge, which is not good. So let's move on. The Renault Zoe. Easily by far the best looking car in this list. It looks pretty stylish and I do like the way it looks. The early 89 brake horsepower cars claim to have 130 mile range and then 149 mile range from 2015 onwards, but like I said before, realistically it'll be much less. The Zoe is well equipped inside and it can seat 4 people, although it's not quite as big as the Leaf and it's a bit of a squeeze in the back for adults. Like the Leaf, it has a 5-star safety rating, which is very good. Now there's quite a few Zoes online to pick from in this budget. I found this 2015 Zoe with 41,000 miles for £5,400, which includes a lifetime battery warranty with the Renault battery lease scheme. Now when buying an electric car, check if the battery is leased or owned, as there's pros and cons to both. Let's move on. The Renaultfluence ZE. It's based on the Renault Megane Saloon, or known as the Fluence in Europe. We didn't get it in the UK. It shares the same powertrain from the Nissan Leaf, which sounds like a good combination, right? The Fluence is an average looking car at best. It looks okay. There's lots of space for the driver, lots of space for rear passengers. It's a pretty long car. It looks like it has a huge boot, but you'd be wrong. It's tiny because that's where they keep the batteries. It's basically a Renault Megane Saloon with a load of batteries put in the boot. The official range is 106 miles, but the real world is more like 60 miles, so you can forget about that long family trip to the coast and back. And the same applies to all the cars on this list. You need to plan your long journeys, and that's just a massive headache we're not used to. Technology is meant to make our lives better, not worse. This Renault doesn't have the rapid charge facility like on all the other cars in this list, so it needs a long 6-hour charge at home or wherever you are. There's not many around, but I did find this 2012 model with 50,000 miles for £3,500, which is very cheap. I'm not surprised it's cheap because it's pretty unusable, and who knows what the range is on those 8-year-old 50,000 mile batteries are. One last thing, you can also buy the Citroen C0 or Peugeot Ion for about £5,000. They're both based on the Mitsubishi Imev, but dressed up a little bit different. That's all the electric cars I could find for £5,000, and if it was my £5,000, I would not buy any of these cars on this list. They just don't suit my needs. The charging time, the infrastructure, the range of the cars, and just the general choice. The choice is just so small. So maybe in 5 years' time, things will be a lot better. At least I hope so. So see you next time.